Well, I like to say at first that we are a consulting company, right? And so we consult on creativity and the creative process, whether it has to do with art and design or technology or entrepreneurship. And so our objective is to get people from all of those skill sets to work together. I always do point to this piece because it is representative of that idea of having technologists and artists and entrepreneurs working together. So in this particular case, the artists, there are 4 of them, and one of them is also a technologist. So the first artist is Albrecht Dürer. So this is Albrecht Dürer's self-portrait. So it's a picture of himself, and it's from the 14th century, from what we call the Northern Renaissance. And so he's a German artist and philosopher. And his philosophy was all about humanism. It was all about embracing the world. So that first original piece is about this big, and it hangs in the Prado Museum in Spain. And so the second artist is also a technologist, and his name is Louis Pardue. He goes by the art name of Cadu. So Louis licensed from the Prado Museum the digital rights to that original work. And so Louis took that work and he put it into a whole digital context. And when I said, Louis, I love this work, but this is China. So we're going to be hanging it in China. How is it going to connect with Chinese people? So Louis said, I don't know, I'm French. So then I found another artist who's a good friend of mine, who's an artist technologist named Wang Hailei. So Hailei thought about it and studied Albrecht Dürer a bit, understood a bit about humanism. And so then Hailei said, I've got just the right piece for it. So Hailei selected a quote from Mencius, and that quote is, 万物皆备于我矣, which means the 10,000 things, the myriad of things, are all within me, a very humanist view. And then the next line is 反身而成，落寞大焉, which means if you can reflect in yourself and be sincere, there's no greater happiness. Perfect. I thought this is just the exact message we want. So I invited a 4th artist, a traditional Chinese calligrapher, to come in and write that passage on this piece. And so when that calligrapher was here and there were TV cameras on him and he was very nervous, and so as he wrote this section from Mencius, he made a mistake. He left out a character. And as I've explained, it's very understandable why he left out that character, because the following character was very confusing and the one before included it. But what's so amusing to me is he left out a character that everyone learns in their first Chinese lesson. If they're studying Chinese, they learn the character Da, the character for big. And so, when we discovered the mistake, it was like, well, what do you do? And so the calligrapher said, well, I can just write in the character on the side. I said, no, that won't 不好看, as the Chinese like to say. It wouldn't look pretty. So instead we had the calligrapher write at the end here in errata, explaining the mistake. And so when he did that, I thought, this is like, there's a very famous, the most valuable stamp that's ever been printed is one that has an airplane upside down. And so I thought this is exactly that kind of mistake, because that's what makes the piece so valuable from my perspective. And so here you have this perfect example of what we're all about, what yuanfen is all about. So it's combining something very Chinese with something that's very, very Western. And so the teams we work with ideally have a mixture of both Westerners and Chinese people. It's also this combination of something that is very traditional, like calligraphy, with something that is super modern, like the digital. So it's a combination of all these things, the modern with the traditional, the Western with the Chinese. Yes. So that's one of those things, how there's something called the 12-step program for alcoholics. And the first thing they have to do is they have to stand up and they go, my name is whatever, and I'm a. And so I've learned to say that, my name is David K. and I'm an artist. I mean, I've done the whole interior here, so I work with design, but my art is more in working with people. So I'm more like a conductor of a symphony who can't play an instrument. But I can see talent. I can see talent in the cellist and in the violinist and in the piano player and in the harpist, and I can help put them all together into a symphony.